What's up, guys? Hey, welcome back to Summit Talk. This is Ethan Collins, your host, and this is going to be the part 2 to Victim Mentality here with Ryan Weber. We are super excited about this episode, man. This was just such a great recording. We were able to be super real and raw, and I just hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. But anyways, without further ado, back to the episode.
You just got to open the Bible. I got this cool trick that I started doing a little like a while ago when I first opened this Bible. So my spiritual parents for Christmas, they gave me a Bible. They gave me an Every Man's Bible. It's a very good Bible. But I opened I was like not opened it yet, but I was like, God, what do you want to show me? Mm-hmm. He took me right to Proverbs and just started blasting me with just truths and like, oh.
There's something God does. And this is what he did for you. When you opened the Bible, this was you saying, all right, Lord, what's for me? And this is the interesting thing. Jesus says, knock and the door will be opened. Ask and you will receive, right? The Bible says also, ask and it will be given to you. He says, pray and your prayers will be heard and they will be answered. So when you sought the Lord by opening the Bible like that, it's funny. In your specific situation, and I think that this is true for more people too, there are vacancies in your heart where there should have been love. There should have been attention. There should have been fill in the blank that your parents failed to do. Maybe your friends failed to do. Maybe another person you really were depending on to give this form of love to you. There's vacancies where there should be love or wisdom or truth. And when you open the Bible and you actually read it, you actually look at the words and you're seeking. Seek and you will find. And you're actually seeking. You find truths that your heart grabs like it's designed for you.
Yeah.
This is why we call it a living word.
Yep.
Because you and I can read the exact same chapter of the Bible and get two completely different things. It's not that it says two different things. It says the same thing. But you and I both get something different as if it was handcrafted for us.
It speaks to us differently.
Because the Creator who made you knows exactly what you need to hear. Mm-hmm. And your soul longs to hear what he has to say.
Yeah.
So when you backfill God's truth, help us understand this picture. You've dug, if you have the victim mentality, you've dug yourself into a pit that now you have work to do. It's time to climb out. Or you could just keep digging, right? But if you're climbing out, you still have work to do. It's time to fill. You fill that with the Lord's truths, right? And as you're filling that, you mentioned something earlier that you think that you're good, right? And sometimes stuff happens and it pops up and it kind of like brings it back a little bit. You remember something that was like, oh man, this is like kind of triggering for me right now. When these things pop back up, what's your advice for folks to continue growing?
Don't lose sight of God. As soon as you crack that Bible open again, you have the answers. Like, don't forget it. Don't let the enemy win. Don't put yourself back in the prison. Once you've tasted, you want to come back and see. And then once the growth starts happening, it's a beautiful thing and you won't expect it. But unexpected things will happen that are good. Or even if bad experiences happen after that,
Mm.
by the same people, you know how to work through it and it doesn't affect you the same.
Mhm.
You start, man, we hear this all the time. You'll start walking differently. You have this light about you. You have this thing. What is that thing? Well, it's God.
Yeah, people used to ask me, like, what do you drink in the morning that you're like this? Like, what are you on?" I'll have
Yeah,
what
what are
he's
you
having.
on?
Yeah, I'll have what he's having, right?
Yeah.
Like, people used to ask me that, and I'm like, "Man, Red Bull and Jesus."
No, right?
So, okay, so for our listeners today, signs you might have a victim mentality, right? You repeatedly tell the same story about who wronged you. That's a dagger in my heart, man. I used to do that all the time. You believe your circumstances are uniquely impossible, right? Every correction feels like a personal attack, and you get defensive. Gosh. You focus heavily on what others should change. It's another truth of what Jesus says. He says, before you take out before you take out the sliver in someone else's eye, take out the plank in your own eye, right? Point the fingers inward first. Okay, some other things that you might have a victim mentality. You focus heavily on what others should change, right? You explain failures without examining your decisions. You resent people who succeeded under difficult circumstances. Man, I used to do this all the time. How come I didn't get that? I used to I used to be so jealous of people. Like, really, and I'd tell my wife this, man, what does he have that I don't? Like, why not me?
For me, it was I got that when I was a kid because we grew up in a single wide, and I would go to other people's houses and see their stuff and feel that.
Yeah.
But when I was going through this bad stuff, it was my relationships that I was seeing the love, and I was seeing how the family unit is supposed to be, and even my wife's parents, um, it's like, "Why why aren't I loved like this?
Mhm.
This is how a family's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. How come they get to have this, but I don't?
Why are they loved?"
Yeah. Yeah. Right. These are all like symptoms of this, you know? So, what are some other phrases that people with a victim mentality might use?
"How could God allow this to happen to me?"
Mm,
That's what my that's what my father said. We grew up I grew up in the church, and something happened, and as soon as it did, my father denounced God, and I watched a perfectly healthy man be not healthy, start to having go on antidepressants and have suicidal thoughts literally in the bathroom. And growing up with that, seeing that as a kid, you think that it's normal. And then it starts rubbing off on you. And then you have all these questions when you're trying to figure it out. That's like the biggest phrase that sticks out to me.
yeah.
It shouts at me, how could God allow this to happen? Well, God, he didn't he didn't make that happen. He didn't allow that to happen. He doesn't put anything in our path that we can't handle.
Yeah.
And we have to You have to realize that, and it's hard. Things are going to happen in our lives that are unexplainable, that shouldn't have happened. All the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. All right, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. Right. What's one area in your life that you've personally had to stop blaming circumstances?
When I was started finally growing, man, God had put forgiveness on my heart, and I was focused on all the problems that other people were causing me, the spirit of offense,
Mm,
and it ties in with victim mentality. I read this book called "The Bait of Satan" by John Bevere,
mm,
and he talks about the spirit of offense,
mm.
and he talks about f- having something happen to you of a loved one. People that hurt you aren't like staying up at night, keeping themselves up at night,
Mm.
focus dwelling. They're getting peaceful sleep. They're getting their full 8.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
I had to humble myself, and I had to tell truths. Like I had to focus on the truth. And in it, I realized that I was not perfect. I was not the perfect son. Did I handle every little situation correctly? No. Did I do some stupid stuff? Did I do some really bad stuff that hurt my my sister? Yes. So then I had to seek out forgiveness. I wasn't the one having to do the forgiving. I had to see, like, I had to realize that
Wow.
I'm not a perfect person and I make mistakes, really bad mistakes too. And so you have to humble yourself.
Mm.
God is going to show you like what you need to work on, but he's also going to show you you, and it's going to hurt. Well, it's not going to hurt. It's going to, you're going to be defensive about it
Yeah.
because you're like, no, I'm the one that actually had the bad stuff happen to. No, like I'm the victim here.
Because you kind of have a reason that justifies the thing that you're defending.
Yeah.
Because it's not always something that's, sometimes it is like really unfair and it sucks. And other people aren't going through it like you are. And maybe they do have it easier. Maybe they don't. You don't actually know all the time. That was one of my things that was so tough. It was hard for me to, I'll admit this here. Man, I hated rich people. I really hated rich people. I can say that now. I'm a recovering rich person hater. Cause yeah, similarly, man, like I grew up in a single wide and it's like, how come they get to have that, but I don't? Like, cause like I saw how hard my dad worked. I saw how hard my mom worked to try to put food on the table. I saw that. You know, like I remember vividly waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 4:30 in the morning with my dad so I could say goodbye to him when he went to work. And I'd finally see him come home. I'd wait by the window because I knew he's always home before the sun goes down. And I see his truck coming up the road. I get so excited. It's like 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. Sucker was working like 13 hours a day. It's not like he wasn't working hard. But how come they get to have that, but we don't? How much harder does he have to work that we could, you know? And so it's easy to defend that mentality because it feels right to you. It feels righteous sometimes. It's comfortable. And yeah, you don't always realize you have to give it up. But you do. That's where growth lies. I had this quote. I was excited about this. It's Viktor Frankl. He says, between stimulus and the response, there is a space. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose the response. In that response lies our growth and our freedom.
Mm.
So, from the thing that happened to what you decide to do because of it is your choice. It's your decision, right? It's up to you. So, the thing that happened to you, like name it, happened. That's truth. That happened. Can't erase that. It's not going to disappear. It happened. Own it, right? Whether it's your fault or somebody else's fault, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you have to pull yourself together the rest of your life. And the sooner you decide to have ownership over your life, the sooner you decide to take the reins from someone else who might have done something to you and really hurt you, the sooner you decide to take that authority back over your life, the sooner you can grow. You choose to do something about it, and then you do something, right? You get up. Jesus asked the man, "Do you want to be healed? Do you want to be healed?" But it's first naming the thing that happened, owning it, have ownership over your life. God gave Adam and Eve the autonomy. They got to name the animals. It's pretty cool.
Mhm.
That was them. That wasn't God like micromanaging. Like, I don't know, maybe you should do this one instead. Like, sure you want to name it porcupine? But they got to have that kind of ownership. So at some point, God gives you the autonomy, whether or not you want to change. He's not forcing you into this. If you want to stay in the victim mentality, great. But if you look at your own kid, there's a way of thinking. You can think about it like this. Think about yourself like you're someone think about yourself like you are someone that you've been entrusted to take care of. Because it works. Like if you imagine your child and your child is doing this, and your daughter or your son is doing this, and they are constantly belittling themselves, and they're constantly tearing themselves apart. They're constantly saying, "Daddy, am I dumb?" They're constantly breaking themselves down like this and thinking, "Why me? What's wrong with me? Like, how come I'm never good enough or any of these things?" That's going to break your heart, isn't it?
It is.
But you're not going to force them out of it because that'll just make it worse, right?
You can't step into somebody else's life and take their reins for them.
And so this is what God does. He says, "I'm here. I know you. I've seen you. From the time you were little to the time you're an adult, I've seen it all. And I know what you've been through. And I'm going to be here with you through the growth if you decide to accept it. But that's on you.
Mhm.
When you're ready, God's there. He is absolutely there. You can grow, you can change. I've been so blown away. I never actually believed that people could like actually change, you know? I always believed like once it's rooted, that's a root. Like you can't dig up that root. That's a lie from the devil.
That is an absolute lie.
I've seen so much change. I've seen so much. If you don't believe today that you can change, you're wrong. There's growth on the other side of responsibility. There's growth on the other side of ownership. So that's my challenge for folks. When you look at your life and you look at the things that happened to you that actually suck, and you wish that they didn't happen, what are you going to do now? Because if you don't do anything about it, now it's your kid's problem. So are you going to deal with it or are you going to let your kids deal with it? One other thing I want to talk about before we wrap up here is forgiveness. What does that look like for you today?
So you hear the, well, God, how many times do I have to forgive? 77 times 7. Do you see that? I myself, getting told, all right, once you do it, you're going to have to forgive them multiple times in a row. Well, how do I do that? For me, I had met with a pastor, and she told me, write every everything down that that person did to you, and then burn it. Like, and then from the ashes, like,
Mm,
something powerful is going to happen. Well, I did that. I started with my dad because I thought that that was going to be the hardest one. I write all this stuff down like angrily. I get to my mom. I was like, "Oh man, actually like, I don't know which one's the hardest." I burn them, and I guess this is just the human in me. I'm like, "Okay, what now?" Like, I'm not getting a random text, "I'm sorry, Ryan, I'm sorry." Still hurting, no response, like, nothing. Like, "Okay, what do I do?" Put myself back in a pit for a little bit. God's like, one day, he's just like, "Are you ready to talk to him?"
mm,
Like, "What?" "Do what?" Um, yeah, he's like, "Yeah, talk to him.
mm.
Have a conversation with them." I didn't even have their number.
Wow.
Because that's how much, like, it was crazy because I was just putting all this stuff, all these negative, focusing on the negatives. Like, my parents don't even talk to me.
Mm,
They don't wanna reach out to me. Why am I always the one that's reaching out to them?
mm.
I was doing this fight with God and put on the gloves a little bit, and I did not win. I got knocked out pretty hard. Um, I picked up my phone and I was like, "Okay, I don't even know if this number is gonna work," and I just hit it. No, I don't think that it was a number. It was Facebook. I quick friended my mother on Facebook because when I was on in that training for that whole summer when I was drinking and stuff, I completely blocked them. I
Mm.
had shut them out.
Wow.
I blocked them on everything, and they weren't talking. It was pretty easy because they weren't talking to me.
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, I'm good now." But anyway, back to, reaching out to him. I reached out on Facebook, and I called my mom on Messenger. Starts ringing, and it takes a pretty long time, and I'm like, "Okay, it's gonna go to no answer." Like, I'm good.
You tried.
And, yeah, I tried, "God, what's next? What else do you have for me?"
Oh, wow.
Um, and then I get this faint hello. I got hit with a ton of bricks. And it was so hard to talk to them. When I first got to Fort Polk, my grandmother died, my dad's mom. She was battling leukemia, and I had gone home and I had taken her to an appointment, one of her chemo treatments, but like, fast forward to, you know, when I got the call that, yeah, she's bad. She's bad right now.
mm,
It's like, okay, I need to come home. I need a Red Cross message to be sent so I could come home. I reached out to both of my parents. It's like, okay, here's the information that I need you guys to give to the Red Cross people.
mhm,
Can you please send this message so I can come home and see her before she dies? I want to be there. So my grandmother to me was my parent, as like she picked up a lot of slack. So it was like losing a parent.
yeah,
And man, I hadn't received anything back and I was like, okay, hey, is everything okay? I ended up calling my dad and he asked me, "Why do you want to come home?" Just like that. I was like, what?" So yeah, it was back and forth and it's like, "I don't understand why you're doing this. Like, why are you keeping me from coming home?" He started to yell at me and I hung up the phone and I just broke down. And when, so my spiritual father, he was able to send it out and I was able to come home and I got there literally just like maybe like 12 hours before she died. Like she passed away like really early the next morning.
wow,
And I was able to get to her at like 6 or 7 o'clock at night.
mm,
Literally came from the airport to her bedside and just angry, filled with rage. And then they came in. My parents did. Anger. I was clenching my fists. I was frozen like a deer in the headlights and I wanted to freak out and man, maybe even be a little physical if I had to. So fast forward, like I had completely blocked them. And it was like, as soon as I did that, the lights shut off. But so to fast forwarding to that conversation with them and hearing my mom's voice, like bunch of, I could feel the enemy want to start working something up, work up a scene. And God was just like, no,
wow,
you're forgiving them right now.
mm,
Talk through it.
mm,
And then I found myself apologizing to them for like not being a perfect son.
mm,
That I was, like I said before, I'm not a perfect person by any means. I messed up. I wasn't always honoring you.
mm,
And that's tough. And then like I said, random things will start happening that are unexplainable that are good. I realized that my daughter Paisley was born and her grandparents had a right to see her.
mm,
Her grandparents deserve to be in her life.
mm,
And I could really hate them for all the things that they did to me or let them see their grandchild. It was not something that I wanted to do. But it happened and it was good. Now fast forward to Kylie being born. Right after she was born, it was like she was born the day before my birthday, so we were there on my in the hospital on my birthday. And like I said, my parents I had blocked them after that call. It felt good, but I was like, "What's next?" And then we started having kids, and I realized what was next, and that was having them be a part of their grandchild's life, now grandchildren. And my dad texted me saying that he's proud of me and a happy birthday. That's God, man.
Yeah.
So that's what forgiveness has looked like, and that's where I'm at today.
Yeah.
Right now, not early on when I was growing, in the back of my mind, I was waiting to be hurt again.
Mm.
You've done it once. What are you going to do next? Now I'm at a point in my life where it's not even a thought because I can't be hurt when I have God on my side, and I've given that entire, like, giving God the situation, whatever it is, there's power in that, and it's needed because you can't get through things on your own.
Yeah.
So I can't be hurt, and it's not gonna, that thing is not gonna affect me anymore. I'm gonna walking in your faith
Yeah.
and actually leaning on it.
You did something there that I think is important to highlight. You acknowledged that the grandparents have a right to see the grandkids. I would assume this was uncomfortable for you to decide because forgiveness is a process. You know, it's not quite as simple as flipping the switch. Like, done. Like, you have to forgive them 7 times 77, right? But this is one thing that is true across everyone's life. When you choose to let the Lord work in your life and you choose to forgive, even against your own will, is it safe to say that the outcome that came when Kylie was born on your, you were there for your birthday and your parents reached out about Kylie and about your birthday, that never would have happened if you hadn't first surrendered your flesh and said, yeah, come and see Paisley.
Yeah.
So the most beautiful outcome that you probably never foresaw came on the other side of doing something against your own will. That's true for everyone right now.
Yeah. You got to step out of the boat.
The work that you're avoiding is the path that will lead you to the outcome you don't even know exists. What God has for you is so much better than you could ever think, dream, or imagine. Safe to say at that point in your life, before you did that, you never thought that could happen.
Not a chance. As a matter of fact, I'm in constant talks with my spiritual parents. They was texting with Mike. That's his name. And he, one of the common questions that he would ask me when I would talk about my parents was, okay, so how is growth? What does that look like? How how are you do you think that that's even, like, even in the conversation? And I would go, no. And yeah, God definitely said, actually, Mike, yes, he's gonna be, working on that momentarily.
I was looking up something real quick that I I wanted to read. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the 12-step recovery program for alcoholics, but it's a beautiful, beautiful program.
Yep.
There is something called the Serenity Prayer that I think more folks need to know, rehearse, memorize. It goes something like this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference. When we look at the victim mentality, what about your situation today is genuinely outside your control? That actually isn't your responsibility, actually isn't something you could change, actually isn't something you could influence or affect. And what part is within your control?
Yeah, so things I can't control. What my parents did to me, their actions. What I can control. And looking back on this, I wish I would have done it. How I react, my reaction towards the trauma, even if today, let's say I get hurt again, not likely, but um from them, uh how you react towards hurt,
Mm.
how you react towards pain, all I can control is my reaction and my actions. With every action, there's a opposite reaction.
Yeah. 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 Going back to the quote, Viktor Frankl, between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space is our power to choose the response. In the response lies our growth and our freedom. You have a choice. Everyone listening to this, you have a choice between what happens to you and what you decide to do. So many people today say, oh, I can't control it. That's just how I am. I can't help it. I'm just an anxious person.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
There's a space. Someone hits your car. You don't teleport to their window, knocking on the window, asking if they're okay, right? You have to get out of the car first. You have to unbuckle your seatbelt, right? Like, not in that order. But there's a choice. There's a choice before the response. And in that response is your growth, you know? And that's where you have the choice to give into your flesh, to give into your selfish desire, or to ask the Lord, what do I need to do here? What's for me? What advice would you give folks listening to this show that are thinking to themselves right now, man, I struggle with this. I think I do struggle with this. I think I might struggle with this. What advice do you have for these folks who want to change?
First and foremost, you're not a victim. You are a child of God. You are a son or daughter of God. That's who you are. When we start working through our problems, when we start clearing out when the fog starts to actually start clearing, you can step into your calling. You can focus on what God has for you. With anxiety, depression, postpartum depression, speaking over that thing, realizing, hey, this isn't from God right now. Like, this isn't my behavior. This isn't how I usually act towards things. Stopping yourself before you, I tell Paisley all the time, before you fly off the deep end. Manage. You have power. You have the power to speak over and speak life into yourself. I struggled with anxiety and depression, um, more so anxiety, and I would have these panic attacks. And it didn't matter if I could be laughing. I had moments where I was laughing with my friends, and I would have this sharp pain in my chest that would come, just linger for a little bit, and in it, that was like the enemy stop like, "You're having fun?" As I got older and the more wisdom that I got from God and overcoming things, um, and started working, I realized that I had this power one day, and, like, eventually this pain just subsided, like, I hadn't had it at all. I was going home and I was at a stoplight and I could feel it. Like there was nothing in my life, like, work is work. And learned how to keep work at work and home at home. So maybe it was maybe a little stressful time. I can't even remember. I don't even like, I was listening to worship music, I believe, or I was listening to music at a stoplight. And all of a sudden I had this big, like, oh my gosh, it takes the breath out of you, like a panic attack. And I just like at this stoplight, I start praying without even thinking about it. It was worship music because I turned up the music.
Mm.
I turned it up. I was like, God, this is not from you right now, and anxiety has no place in my life. Take this evil thing away from me. This is not from you. I'm not the only one with this power here. That's my biggest message that I want to get out there is people have power to speak life back into them. You have the power to speak life into your life
Mm.
from God. And when you start working and when you start growing, you'll like realize that, man, like that's the biggest one.
What did Jesus say to Lazarus?
Mm,
Lazarus was dead. Maybe you're not literally dead,
you're
but maybe
spiritually dead.
you're spiritually dead. Maybe for me, my prayer to the Lord through one of my most difficult seasons of my life was, God, my joy is dead.
Mm,
It's like, God, I just want my joy back. People used to love seeing my smile and my attitude and my energy and my enthusiasm. People raved about it, and it's gone. And I didn't know how to get it back. For our listeners, if you're feeling that today, God is telling you to get up. He's calling you out of the tomb. He's calling you to dig out of the pit. And it first goes by acknowledging that you're in one. And seeking Him through it. The biggest thing for me that helped me to move forward in this, if you're asking yourself at this point, how do I grow? How do I get out of it? How do I move forward this week, today, this afternoon? I want to come back to that responsibility, the uncomfortable responsibility, the thing that you know that you should be doing, the thing that you keep putting off, the thing that you hope your spouse doesn't find out, the thing that you're avoiding. In my life, and it sounds like yours as well, the beauty was found and the path was found in attacking, in taking on that responsibility, to do the uncomfortable thing, having no idea the outcome. When you invited your parents to meet the kids, you had no idea how this was going to go. Another definition of faith is having no idea what the outcome is. So I would challenge our listeners today to tackle the uncomfortable responsibilities that you've been avoiding. You know, if you were at your healthiest, the strongest version of yourself, what would the strongest version of you do next? What is one action? If you look back on your life in 50 years and there's one thing you would have loved to have accomplished and taken care of, what is that one thing? And can you take care of it in the next 24 hours? Any other thoughts?
Man, you're not alone. God puts people on our paths. Don't shut those people out.
Yeah.
Just, man, lean to God. You have supernatural power that you don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not until we start growing that we can actually start walking towards what God has for us. Because God does not give us victim mentality. That is not what he looked at me and said that's my spiritual gift is victim mentality. It's not a gift. And it can become a generational curse.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do? What are you going to choose to do? You going to stay in the pit or are you going to come out of it?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to give every situation, every traumatic experience, any traumatic experience or bad thing that happens to you to Jesus, to the Father? And yeah, get to work.
Get to work. Get to work. Pick up your cross. Pick up your cross. Mm. Cool. Ryan, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for this.
Thank you, man. Awesome conversation today. Man, getting to talk about a victim mentality. It's super popular today, man. And people, I think so many more people don't realize they have it, and they do. And yeah, that friend that is always complaining, or even yourself, you know, like if we're careful to comb through our life with a fine tooth comb, I think that we're all guilty of it at one point or another. And your family depends on you, man. Your family depends on you to pick yourself up. And I wanted to touch on one last thing that I forgot to bring up here, but it's about growth. And so this is a helpful thing to realize. When you grow, you mentioned this earlier, and I really want to emphasize this. When you grow, all of the people around you don't grow with you. Like, that doesn't always happen. And you can't expect them to. That's an important thing to realize, is like, your friends won't necessarily grow with you. You know, your parents may not grow with you. Your wife, even your husband, may not grow with you. And you have to love them anyway. You can't hold them to such a harsh or strict ruler that just because they're not growing at the same rate as you, that like all of a sudden that doesn't make them worthy of love. We're all on our own path. We're all on our own journey. And something that was hard for me to realize is, okay, the woman at the well, when Jesus met the woman at the well, he told her, I can introduce you to a well that never runs dry. And you drink from this cup, and you'll never be thirsty again, essentially. She dropped the bucket and ran away, and she goes and tells the whole town, this man has told me everything I ever did. And when you grow, you kind of want to be like the woman. Kind of want to go tell everyone, look how much I'm growing. And a couple things can happen, right? Sometimes people will hate you for it because it makes them uncomfortable. And sometimes people will celebrate with you. Those are real friends. Keep them really close to you, right? And then there's other people that will just think you're crazy, but just my encouragement, if you are new to growth in general, if you are in the revival that God is calling many of us through right now, and your life is changing radically, and you're lonely, you're not alone. Just because no one on earth sees what you're doing doesn't mean the Father doesn't. God does see it. And he's proud of you. Man. Thank you again. That's all I've got for us today. Folks, this is our take on the victim mentality. I hope you found some truths in this. I pray that the seeds that we spoke today would take root in your heart and it would grow and bear fruit. That it would plant roots, and that in your life it would produce light, love, kindness, patience, gentleness, self-control. Thank you for listening to Summit Talk.